Marvel Legends, Gamerverse, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man. Let's get it. What is good, my peeps? It's the Ruckus back at you again. We've got another action figure review for you. Marvel Legends, once again. This time what we have is from the upcoming Sony Spider-Man 2 Gamerverse. We're doing a Gamerverse right now. We've got Spider-Man in the suit that he will be primarily appearing in within the game. There'll be, of course, different suits, upgrades, the whole nine. I'm sure, just like the first game. But this is the primary suit that we have here. And it is decidedly different than the primary suit from the first game. We'll see that a little bit later when we compare the two. But right now, let's get this party started. We're checking out the packaging. You've got a digital render of Spider-Man in that Spider-Man 2 Gamerverse suit. We've got some artwork, which is pretty nice, I must say. And on one side, we've got some more of that pretty nice artwork. You see the Gamerverse logo down there. On the other side, we have a digital render of the figure. This is a standalone figure, fan channel exclusive, so that's why you don't see any associated Build-A-Figures, because there are none. We have the Spidey logo at the top, and on the rear we have another digital render of the figure. To our right, we see his accessories. He comes with a multitude of webbing. He's got 4 web effects. Technically 5 if you want to count the web strand. So yeah, 5 web effects and a pair of fists. He comes out of packaging with 1 whipping hand and 1 wall crawling hand. I think that's kind of whack in any event, but especially in this case, because as you can see, this is not a deluxe figure, but it's deluxe price. In fact, it's beyond deluxe price. This is going for, I believe, $36, $37, $36.99, something like that. And quite frankly, that's ridiculous, especially for what we got here. I mean, we've got a decent amount of web effects, sure. But at that price point, we should have gotten a pair of wall crawling hands and a pair of whipping hands along with that pair of fists. We've got our boy Spider-Man, Gamerverse, Spider-Man 2 on our rotating base. And you see what it is in terms of the costume. A lot of similarities to the Spider-Man we all know and love, but differences galore. In particular, the color of the suit. The primary color is like a grayish blue, and of course we've got our traditional or classic red. It's got the web lines painted on. He's got some nice spider logos, both front and back, and they appear to go all the way through the articulation point. We'll check that out when we go through our articulation segment. We've got some white there at the wrists and the tops of the hands. The striping on the hands continue down even beyond that white. And then, of course, at the feet, we've got some reds and some whites there. Looking pretty nice. The head sculpt looks pretty nice. We're on the Renew Your Vows buck. So that means we're rocking the ultimate posable Spider-Man buck that we saw in Renew Your Vows, and another Spider-Man figure, and also with the latest Daredevil from the Daredevil Electra Bullseye 3-pack. We got the ultra posable buck, and that's a very good thing. So that's pretty cool. And I don't want to believe that because we got the ultra posable buck, that's the excuse Hasbro's going to go with for the lack of accessories, namely the pairs of thwipping and wall crawling hands. But I digress. We will talk about his effects, these web effects. You see this right here. This is a nice effect right here. You place this over an adversary, and this basically is after he's been webbed up. So definitely a nice effect. He's got webs that come in 3 different sizes. This is the largest of them. We've seen this before. Uh, Pretty good if you find a way to get it to affix an opponent to the wall. Same for this second or third, if you will, set of webs. But this can be used to, maybe web down an opponent's foot or hand to a wall. So this is also pretty nice. And the smallest web effect we have, this one right here. This looks like you could use it if you want to web up an opponent's face or maybe his actual hand if he's brandishing a weapon. Here it is close up. So yeah, pretty cool. Have him wrap someone's face up, or like I said, maybe could wrap up a hand that has a weapon so that opponent can't fire it. And here's the web line. We've seen this before numerous times, including on the previous Gamerverse Spider-Man. So you see it's got the loop right here. You could either affix that around Spidey's wrist or possibly connect it somewhere and fudge having Spidey hold on to with that end. I don't know how you would actually achieve that considering he has no C grippers or anything like that, but that's where your creativity must come in. And finally, here's that additional set of hands, the closed fists, and let me separate apart. You see the pegs are white, probably to because this has been the pegs are white. It looks as though the hand is red because I can clearly see red seeping through. So that's pretty interesting there. But it's not a good look for the pegs to be white. You see that on the internal side, the interior side, I should say. So unless you have the hands bent like that, you're going to see that white. Looking at the head sculpt, I don't know if it's necessary to speak on digital printing. I'm sure it's used in some form or fashion, even though we've got a fully masked head when you deal with Spider-Man. So what we will talk about is how nice the line work is, and mine is very nice. Everything's consistent, no jaggies. Looks good. The eyes banging, the blacks around the eyes also pretty nice. The whites are cool. There's no bleeding. I don't even know if that's paint or may just be, we'll call it decal, because that's also possible. While we've got him close up looking at that Spidey logo, that's also looking pretty nice too. No jaggies there. If you see any break in the lines, that's because the butterfly joints are like kind of sort of receding in right now. But rest assured, when you have him in the right position, when you have those butterfly joints in the right position, the legs on the Spider-Man on the Spider logo is pretty consistent. Getting a full bodied visual of the figure. Like I said, you've got the nice line work there, and the reds continue, and that still looks good. They go out on his waist area, and there's some white there at the either sides of that area, both on the left and the right side. We'll turn him to the side a little bit so you can actually see what's going on with those wrists. You see you've got white patch there, as well as on the tops of those hands. The fingers have the striping, so that's pretty consistent. Turning him to the back. Got that nice spider logo still going, and it continues down. Very, very nice, very nice. And the paint also continues on the heel of the feet, and you've got the red right there. And of course, there's some white, and the white on the wrist and the top of the hand continues. So yes, it remains consistent. Gotta love that. This is the ultra posable buck. We've seen it before, but because it's so nice, we're going to see it again. So the head is on a ball, is on a dumbbell. So you could look up. It's probably the weakest point of articulation on the entire figure because of the nature of the dumbbell joint. You can look down that far. He can give you attitude with the pivot, and of course he can 360 it. He can get into a T-pose, so he can get the 90-degree action. He's got butterfly joints, so he could rear out, and he can bring it in, so that's cool. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got the double jointed pinless elbows. If I can get it to go, it's kind of tight, which is cool. See if I get that to go on camera. And there it is. So that's cool. He's got wrists that swivel and they hinge horizontally. And right there, look at that right there. That's what I'm talking about. See that? That's unseemly right there. It's no good. That should be red right there. But the peg is white. So that's the, to accommodate. They were, meaning Hasbro was too concerned with the outside of his hand. That's why the peg is white. And, the red right there. So yeah, that right there is, that's just not a good look. What can I tell you? As far as his torso is concerned, he's got a diaphragm that can get you that far forward, that far back, not bad. You can get side to side, and of course you can rotate it. And then because this is ultra posable, you have an ab crunch in conjunction with that diaphragm. So he can get down that far, which is cool. You can go back that far, and then in conjunction with that diaphragm, even further back. And then, speaking of that, you see that the lines for the spider logo has been painted all the way through. And as far as the back is concerned, we get the same thing painted all the way through. So you have got to love that. Once again, you're going to get your left and right movement at that diaphragm. So that's what you're going to get. Legs, hips, you can split that far. He can lift his leg more than 90. Go back that far, that's cool. He's got the thigh cut. He's got the double jointed pinless knees, as you can see there. He's got a boot cut. He can point his toe that far forward, that far up. He does have ankle pivot. He has toe articulation. That right there is what is the difference between superposable and ultraposable, is this joint right here. And then of course holes, peg holes at the bottom of his feet. And here's our comparison as promised. We've got on our left the Spider-Man 2 Gamerverse Spider-Man, and on our right we have the PS4 Spider-Man, of course, of Gamerverse. And you can see the differences in the costume. It's obviously the color differences in that blue. In terms of the first Spider-Man, he's got the web meshing red on the sides, the outer sides of his thighs. They're both, now this is what's funny. Let me turn them both this way. Now, our Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man has white pegs to accommodate the white on the tops of his hands. And the Gamerverse Spider-Man, the first one, which if I'm not mistaken was a GameStop exclusive, this is the opposite. You see there's red peeking right there. So that is very, very interesting on how that goes down. So you've got those differences there. On the feet, the soles, the outer soles are lined similarly, but on the first Spider-Man, there's a little bit more, and it's got white paint going around the heels and at the outer portion where your bunion would be, I guess. That's what you get right there. Turning to the rear so we can see what the spider logo in the back looks like, respectively. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. There are some very subtle differences. The Spider-Man 2 logo, the mandibles are a little bit longer and closer together, where they're apart here. And with the first Spider-Man, the legs are a bit shorter. So those are the differences you've got right there. So let's get them turned back around before we exit out of this segment. Here, with the assistance of one of the tracksuit mafia of the Disney Plus show Hawkeye, acting as test dummy, we've got our Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man webbing him up with that the web coat, we'll call it, as well as the web line. And now showing him with the webbing that can basically restrain the weapon bearing hand, as you can see right there. And finally, here's a shot of our hero having our tracksuiter webbed to the ground. So wrapping this review up, we're talking about the Marvel Legends Sony Gamerverse Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man figure from Hasbro. Is well, I mean, it's a nice figure for sure. Obviously, it looks good. There are some cons we got going on. Let's talk about the pros first. The main pro is it's on the ultra posable buck, so you know that's a great thing. That is a great thing. My colors, the paint apps, are very nice, so that's a great thing. Now it's time for the things that are not so great. Obviously, on that the dumbbell, you're not going to get the range that you would really want. There's a notch back there, so maybe I can get the head to tilt upward a little bit more. So when you have spotting and crouching poses, which you can achieve with this particular buck, it may look more natural and you may get his head to actually look forward and not pointing down. I'll look into that after this review is done. Other things that are not so great, the lack of hands. Hasbro cheaped out on us. They gave us a thwipping hand and they gave us a wall crawling hand, but the word is that single letter A. It should have been a pair. We should have gotten a pair of both. We got a pair of fists. So at least we did get wall crawling hand this time. For the longest, we were being denied that, especially if it's an MCU figure. But we're talking about things besides MCU. But at least we did get a thwipper, and we did get a wall crawler, and we did get a pair of fists. In terms of the web effects, I think that's pretty cool. They did us justice with the web effects. We got 5 different web effects, the web line, 3 different sizes for the webs themselves, and we have a web overcoat, so to speak, and that's pretty nice as well. So we did at least get that, but still leaves something to be desired in terms of those additional hands. Articulation is banging. The other thing that isn't so hot is the white pegs for the wrists. The interior of the hands are red, and when you have them flailed out, as you can see with that right thwipping hand, I could just say thwipping hand because the only thwipping hand we have, there's white showing, and that's really not how it gets done.